Zonal coordinators of the National Association of Nigerian Students, or otherwise known as NANS, say they will not allow anyone or group to tarnish the image of the organization for political patronage or create tension within the students' movement. The Forum of Zonal Coordinators from the 6 geopolitical zones called on the political class to desist from using the Students' Association as a political tool to drive their selfish interest. While the forum also dissociated itself from a recent attempt to polarize the organization by Atiku Issa, who is also presenting himself as NANS president. They allege that he is being sponsored by opposition political parties to create factions in the student body. In their position, the only elected president of NANS is Olusola Ladoja, who was inaugurated on the 30th of April.
NANS is a non-political student movement, and as the leaders of the 6 zonal structures representing the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, we have the responsibility to protect the integrity and advocate for the welfare of our students. For the record, the entire Students' Union representative converged in Abuja as senators, representing their respective institutions, to participate in the 2025 NANS Elective Congress on the 27th of February. It is worthy of note that over 14 aspirants contested for the office of the president, and the so-called Atiku Abubakar Issa was never part of them. He neither obtained a nomination form nor attended the screening exercise. At the end of the keenly contest and well-published contest through February 28 at the Old Parade Ground, Comrade Olusola Oladoja, a master's student from the University of Jos, emerged with an overwhelming vote, and he was immediately embraced and congratulated by other co-aspirants. We also want to state that there is no truth in the blackmail going against the person of Mr. Sheyi Tinubu. Comrade Ayo Olawande Wisdom, the Honorable Minister of Youth and Development, His Excellency Alhaji Muhammadu Badaru, Honorable Minister of Defense. These men have done nothing than support NANS programs and help amplify our demands with regards to students' welfare within the government circle to accelerate favorable responses. They have been of immense help in nail phone establishment, CNG bus delivery, and have intervened on many occasions to get our demands addressed before it escalates. Finally, we want to warn our political class and detractors to desist from poaching on the students' movement for survival, but that they should look inwards and reflect on the reasons why they may be crumbling. With this, they could seek and get more redemption. We will not tolerate any further attempts to balkanize our organization, NANS.
Well, joining me in the studio is Abdullahi, who is the NANS Secretary General for the Atiku Issa faction. Thank you so much for joining me on the news tonight. Thank
you very much.
Oh, you heard them. That was a press conference moments ago here in the nation's capital. How do you respond to that?
Well, it is commonly said that he who pays the viper dictates its tune. I am not surprised seeing the coordinator. Of course, he is the coordinator of our zone, the North Central, speaking the way he is speaking, because he has a boss. I've given him a boss, and of course, part of the threats they may use against him is, if you go against us, we are going to retrieve the bosses. And some of those bosses, most of those bosses are provided for students. Go all over Nigerian campuses. You will not see any boss that has been allocated to ease students suffering or maybe transport. They share it among themselves, and the essay to the student on student engagement and the minister decide to share the remaining one for themselves. So if after taking boss and he decide to come on media to say this and to disassociate himself with a legitimate president because they have been bribed, I'm not surprised. But it will interest you to also know that these NANS have a chain of history. The essay on student engagement currently handed over to Umar Usman Barambu is still alive. Umar Usman Barambu handed over the leadership to Pedro Chubuzo Obi, which Pedro Chubuzo Obi handed over the mantle of leadership to my president, to us, Atiku Abubakar, on the occasion where those thugs I met here came to attack myself and the president.
I would just mind our language. You cannot call anyone thug on the news. And to our viewers, we had promised to speak to both sides of the divide tonight. However, the president of NANS, as recognized by one faction, Mr. Ladoja, had just walked out of this interview, hoping to get him at another date for this year to get his own side of the story. So, Mr. Omar, again, I urge you and I plead with you to use broadcast language as we are airing across the globe tonight. But he's not the only one who spoke. That was a forum for zonal coordinators from 6 geopolitical zones. So are you saying everybody was bribed? Is it even possible? I mean, this is 6 geopolitical zones represented here.
Now, the situation we have found ourselves in this country, every average human being, when an offer worth 10, 20 million is given, you must have a rethink on it. My president alone was invited to Lagos. I was the one that encouraged him to go to Lagos. Was given an offer of 100 million naira to relinquish his legitimate position for somebody because of political interests. Now, how did...
he was invited to Lagos to relinquish his position?
Yes, for 100 million naira.
Who was offering him 100 million naira?
Well, I think that you hear that from him properly because I was not with him in the Lagos, but I was...
So he told you, that's a report.
Yes, and I was aware of his journey. They booked his ticket precisely. The Ladoja himself booked his ticket after arranging for a meeting with us here where he offered to give him 5 million naira. My president laughed.
Here where?
Here in Abuja.
Okay.
Yes, I was in the meeting. He offered to give my president 5 million naira. My president laughed and said, what will you give me 5 million naira for? You didn't win election. You are offering me money. I don't have business with you. You invited me that you wanted to see me, and that's why I availed myself.
Okay.
So the meeting ended here until they went to rearrange a meeting and invite him to Lagos, which he went, and all that they discussed was not anything reasonable that will favor the student, and he decided to come back. I think that is the one I know. Okay,
you have also said you were not in that meeting, so you cannot tell us factually what happened. But you referred to him as your president. Let me ask you, where was your faction elected, and where was your president elected as the NANS executive?
Very interesting. First of all, like I heard the coordinator on screen say that he did not recognize whether Ladoja was, whether Atiku was a NANS presidential contestant. Atiku, on the screening list of aspirants, Atiku Abubakar is the number 2 who is cleared and successful in the context. And he contested on 27 to 28. Our election was a broad daylight election, not at night, in the old parade ground, where every SUG president, numbering about 215 SUG presidents present there. If information was given to me to bring the chronological list of the SUG presidents, their attendance, their institution, I would have come over with it. The information got to me lately that I should just come this night for this press.
So who monitored the process?
Security apparatus were all there, the DSS, Nigerian police, and even these persons who came claiming position came there with guns and matches. Those are they did in the inauguration.
At the election?
Yes, and they were apprehended and arrested by Nigerian police. But unfortunately, we are in a country where things don't work. So people, because of their position, can just do what they want and go away with it. So the issue was swept under the carpet, and we decided to move ahead.
Now, those are serious allegations against the Nigerian security operatives, but particularly the police you have mentioned.
Yeah.
You're saying the police was aware of this, they made arrests and let people go? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, great. Yeah. How did we get here? NANS is supposed to be the vanguard for students, leadership and students' needs in the country. How did we get here? Thugs, alleged thugs, criminality, guns, you said. Yeah. We heard of machetes. Yes. How did we get here?
Well, when people are politically desperate, you should expect, especially in a politics, in a contemporary African politics, you should expect anything from people who are desperate. We have been invited severally to come and key into what is not right, to collect money. But you have a posterity who will judge you, and you have a future to protect. Tomorrow, your children or your grandchildren will be making reference to my father was this or my father did this, which is wrong. So these are what we are trying to avoid. And the truth is...
Where is Atiku Issa at the moment?
Atiku Issa is in a hospital, which I will not mention the name for the fear of another attack. After
Who attacked him and what happened? Why was he attacked?
Well, what happened actually, I will explain to you now here in detail, because if I have heard this from somebody, I would have a doubting mind that it won't work. We were supposed to have we had our inauguration in the Well Scouting Hotel in Asokoro. That very morning that we were supposed to have the inauguration, the son of the president, Sheyi Tinubu, come to the hotel. We have already informed all the security agencies about our inauguration, and they are all stationed there. Right in my presence, he called them like his own kids, and they all gathered in his presence. I don't know what he told them. Just after 5 minutes, no any security you could find at the venue of the election. He was right in there. After some seconds, he was making call. We decided not to mind what they are trying to do. The management of the hotel said they wanted to stop our inauguration because they had order from above. We insisted that we must have our inauguration there because our dignitaries were already on ground. Former governor of Kano, Shekarau, was on his feet delivering his speech. And other dignitaries, the emir of Duse, was seated when these people came with matches, axes, knives and guns, trying to attack. Yes, in their hall, trying to affect and attack myself and the president. So it was only by the grace of God that I tried to escape from the hall. And unfortunately for the president, they caught him there. Other EXCO member and dignitaries all scattered. Some sitting senator, about 2 of them were there present. One MC Tawai, all of these people are seated right in their face. This happened in a Nigerian that we are today. I don't know how we get here, honestly. The
president's son has responded to the allegations. He says he's not aware of what your camp is saying. He says he has never met Atiku Issa. He says he was not even there at the venue. So these are allegations, your word against his words. But how do you respond to those who have said, for instance, the Pan-Yoruba Sociocultural Group, Afenifere, they have released a statement. I don't know if you're aware. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has also released his own statement. So it does look like there's a bit of politics coming into this. Perhaps I should withdraw beats. It's a lot of politics going on here. But the Afenifere says that Atiku Issa has a political leaning. For instance, his campaign poster had former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, had the likes of Rotimi Amechi and other prominent members of the so-called anti-Tinubu coalition. Those are the words of Afenifere in their statement. So when they say you have a political motive to make these allegations, how do you respond to them?
First, I want to correct an impression. The inauguration, we invited all politicians and dignitaries across board. It will interest you to know that the president, commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is the grand patron of the organization. He was also invited. His daughter, Yaloja, was also invited. She was the mother of the day for that inauguration, which we expected her to come until when the process was destroyed. So we are not particular about what political party you belong or who you support. Our concern is for us to have a very smooth and colorful inauguration. So that is our main reason for inviting all these people across board. It will interest you to also know that Shekarau, who was there, the former governor of Kano State, delivering his speech, is a conk member of APC. Now, if we are bent at any political party, or it was a political gathering or coalition, as they purportedly said, then we would look for those coalition members and involve them in in our inauguration, which we did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
We definitely wish you the best and wish Atiku Issa a quick recovery. This is definitely not the end of it. We would like to hear from the Nigeria police, and those names that have been mentioned, we'll also have to invite them to hear their own side of the story.
Very important.
Umaru Abdullahi is NANS Secretary General of the Atiku Issa faction. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're still giving out an invitation to the Ladoja camp, who unfortunately walked out of this interview tonight. The Arise News is open to hear all sides of the story.